Assalamu alaikum. So the voluntary sunnah acts of prayer, if you say it, you're highly rewarded by Allah. If you skip it intentionally, your prayer is valid. You're not sinful, but your reward is reduced. Number one, rising the hands in prayer. And this is done in 4 places as per the hadith of Ibn Umar and the hadith of Abu Humayd. This is a sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. These are done in 4 locations or times that the Prophet. 2 of them is only performed once in the prayer, and the other 2 are performed in every rakat. The first one that is done only once in the prayer is when you stand up to begin the prayer. When you say the takbir, say Allahu Akbar. The Allahu Akbar is a pillar, but rising the hands is a sunnah. The number 2, which is done once in the prayer, is when you're standing up from tashahhud to the 3rd rakat. When I make ruku, you say Allahu Akbar before making ruku. And when you rise up, then I also rise up from the ruku saying Sami Allahu liman hamida Rabbana lakal hamd. Then raise my hands. The sunnah is also to extend your fingers, not to separate your fingers. The second sunnah of prayer is to put your right hand over your left on your chest, or a little bit below. Based on the hadith of Sahil ibn Sa'd, the people used to be instructed that they should put their right hand on their left hand in prayer, and likewise the hadith of Ibn Hujr, that the Prophet, when he prayed, he placed his right hand over his left hand and the wrist and arm. There's an issue of dispute where to place your hands, so you can place them on your chest, your navel, wherever you feel comfortable during prayer. Number 3, the inauguration dua. This dua is said after Takbir al-Ihram. It's highly recommended that you alternate every single time. The greatest dua of inauguration is the hadith of Abu Hurairah. He said, O Prophet of Allah, when you give Takbir and make a pause, what do you say? The Prophet said, O Allah, put a great distance between me and my sins, as great as the distance you have made between the east and the west. O Allah, cleanse me of sin as a white garment is cleansed from filth. O Allah, wash away my sins with water and snow and hail. Another recommended inauguration dua is from the Abu Dawood 776 and Sunan al-Tirmidhi 243, narrated that Aisha, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with her, said, and the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam began to pray. He said, Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik, wa tabarak asmuk, wa ta'ala jadduk, wa la ilaha ghayruk. And there's also other duas that you can say. It shows the alternate and diversity in concentrating in prayer and contemplating in prayer. The 4th sunnah of the prayer is to seek refuge in Allah from the cursed devil. Allah says in the Quran, when you recite the Quran, first seek refuge in Allah from Satan. And number 5 is to say the Basmallah, which is Bismillah Rahman Rahim. If you skip the inauguration dua, there's no problem. The Fatiha is not recited out loud, and it's not from the Sunnah. The vast majority of the companions of the Prophet never done it. The Prophet did not do it. Number 6, to say Ameen of the Fatiha. The Prophet said, this is in an hadith when the Imam says Ameen, then say Ameen. For the angels, say Ameen. And if a person saying Ameen coincides with that of the angels, his previous sins will be forgiven for this. All the much than the Fadl will say Ameen. Number 7, reciting the surah after reciting the Fatiha. Abu Hurairah said, whoever recites the Fatiha suffices them, and whoever adds to it will be better, and this was agreed upon. If a person prays Dhuhr and only recites the Fatiha, this is a pillar and goes straight to ruku. His prayer is valid. His recitation of an extra surah after the Fatiha is a sunnah. Number 8, to recite loudly or to recite out loud or to recite quietly in the prayer. For example, if Fajr and in the first 2 rakat of Maghrib and Isha, is sunnah to recite loudly, and all the other rakats like the 3rd and 4th rakat of Dhuhr, Asr and Isha, the 1st and 2nd rakat of Dhuhr and Asr, and the 3rd rakat of Maghrib is a sunnah to recite silently. Abu Hurairah said that in every single prayer there's a recitation of the Quran. What the Prophet recited loudly, we'll recite loudly so that you could hear. What he recited quietly so we could follow suit. Number 9, hold the knees with the hands. To place the hands on your knees with the hands spread apart when bowing, and keeping the back straight with the head in line with the back. So the way we make ruku, we have a back straight. This is per the instruction of the Prophet as per the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. Number 10, when in ruku or sujood, you should keep your arms away from your side as per the hadith of Abu Humayd. So you should spread out your arms when making ruku, and also for sujood, extending the arms out away from our bodies without bothering others praying next to you. Number 11, if you remember, we said the mandatory number in tasbih is once. Whatever comes more than once is a sunnah. So if you do it 3 times, that's amazing. If you do it 10, then it is perfect. This is because Anas bin Malik says, I have not seen anyone resembling the prayer of the Prophet more than this kid. And he's referring to with this kid to Khalifa Abdullah ibn Aziz. So the Tabiri counted the number of tasbih of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz used to do while in prayer, and they counted 10 in ruku and 10 in sujood. Number 12, the way a person sits. In the sitting position, we have 2 types of sitting position, which is the iftirash and tawarruk. And iftirash is to have your right foot erected with your toes point to the Qibla, and you place your buttocks on your left foot, and this is a sunnah according to Ibn Umar. In this type of sitting, we sit in it through the prayer, whether it's between the two sujood, whether it's the first tashahhud, throughout the whole prayer. The tawarruk is to be used in the second tashahhud, for example, third rakat of Maghrib, the fourth rakat of other prayer. This is to sit on your left buttock, still erecting your right foot with your toes pointing to the Qibla, but you sit on your left buttock and your left foot is underneath your right leg. Number 13. Sitting or kneeling with the buttocks on your feet, and this is known as al-aiqa. This is the hadith of Tawus. We said to Ibn Abbas about this type of kneeling, and he said this is a sunnah. The sunnah of doing this position is to wrap both your feet with the toes pointing to the floor, to the Qibla, and you're sitting on your heels. This is the first way of sitting, and this is a sunnah as per the hadith of Ibn Abbas. Number 14, this is known as tawarruk, and there are a number of ways of sitting of tawarruk. We sit this in Maghrib in the last sitting, and in the last tashahhud of Dhuhr, Athar, and Isha. The number one way of sitting is to sit on your left buttocks with your left foot under your right leg, and your right foot is erected with your toes pointed to the Qibla. This is a common way the Prophet used to do it. Number 2 and 3, they are similar. There is an issue of dispute among the scholars. Number 2 is to have both your feet to your right, still sitting on your buttocks, but both feet are to the right. And number 3 is to have your foot between your right thigh and your right leg. It's almost the same, but you have your left foot in between your right thigh and your right leg. Number 15, to point with the index finger when in tashahhud and wiggling it and moving it in this place. The hadith of Ibn Umar that the Prophet ﷺ used to do this. He get the pinky and the finger next to it crunched in. You touch the tips of the middle finger and thumb, and you point the index finger as per the hadith of Wahil ibn Hujr. You place this on your right knee or right thigh. The Prophet ﷺ said it is harder upon Satan than iron if you were hitting him up with an iron. Number 16, to look at the index finger in the sitting position during the tashahhud. So you don't look at the place of prostration at this time, rather you look at your index finger doing it as per the sunnah. Number 17 is to make dua after tashahhud, after concluding of your prayer and your tashahhud, and once you've given salutations upon the Prophet ﷺ. Just before the salam, there's an opportunity for you to make dua, because the Prophet said, choose from the dua whatever you like and supplicate to Allah. Number 18, to look to the right and to the left when offering salam. So at the conclusion of the prayer, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. But the sunnah that the Prophet used to look to the right until those behind him would see the whiteness of your cheek. So you don't turn your head a bit to the right, you rather turn it fully so the person next to you can see your cheeks, and you do the same to the left. Saying that Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah is mandatory, but the actual turning the right to left is a sunnah. I leave you here fi imanillah wa sallallahu wa baraka ala nabina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Astaghfirullah.